To Kill a Mockingbird and Gone with the Wind, and unforgettable characters such as Atticus Finch, Rhett Butler, and Scarlett O'Hara have thrilled millions of readers decade after decade. Now, there is a new treasure trove of books out there that are mostly ignored. Many self-publishing authors are just waiting to get discovered. We are encouraging readers like yourself to take a chance and read their books. You can find them on Amazon.com, Amazon on Kindle, Barnes & Nobles, Goodreads.com, and Kobo. Also on Scribd, Versa, and iBook, or hopefully soon at your nearest public library.
Welcome to Bios to Books. Hi, I'm Dan Davidson, and I'm your host for this program. The objective of this show is to introduce talented, but in most cases, yet to be recognized authors to the reading public. During our interview, these authors will discuss their journey into the world of writing and selling a book. In many cases, they'll talk about difficulties in navigating through self-publishing. Come along with me on this incredible ride, and you might just learn something. As this is our inaugural podcast, I thought it was only fitting to invite my co-author and lifelong friend, Rich Marcano, to help us get the ball rolling. We go back a long way to the days we served together in the U.S. Air Force in South Korea, 1963-64. That life experience was the inspiration for our book, Butterfly Wish, which hopefully Rich will talk about. Welcome to the show, Rich. Rich, I think we should start by you telling the folks a little bit about yourself. You know, your roots and your life's journey, where you were raised.
All right, I was born and raised in the Bronx, New York. Not much to talk about there. I mean, maybe in the future we'll have something to say about that. But I joined the Air Force when I was 17, similar to your experience, I guess. And then when I got out of the Air Force, I went into insurance investigations, got involved with frauds and things like that, and retired several years ago.
Like me, you're retired now.
Retired, fully retired.
Before we go on with any other questions, just to backtrack a little bit about your teenage years in the Bronx, I should mention to the people that we are working on a book about that time. It's fiction, of course, but it will be based on a lot of your experiences growing up in the Bronx, and it's tentatively titled right now, No More the Rebel. We don't know necessarily if that's going to be the final title, but it is the title we're working with when we work on that part of your life story back when you were a teenager. I just thought I'd throw that in.
Okay.
Where do you live now, Rich?
I'm living in Brooklyn. I married a girl from Brooklyn, and we're living actually in the neighborhood she grew up in.
Oh, that's interesting. So she's familiar with where you live, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Now, how about children? You have any children?
I have a son who's living in California now, and my daughter.
Okay, my next question is kind of simple. At what age did you get the bug for writing?
Basically it was when I got out of the Air Force. I don't know why. I had this feeling like I had to write, and I wrote poetry mostly. I started to try to write short stories, but it was tough at that time. So I wrote a lot of poetry, and I actually had one that was accepted by some publishing place, but in my travels, I lost contact. I never knew what happened with the darn thing.
It could be out there and you don't even know about it.
Yeah, could be.
well, you did actually write some poetry for our first book, which we'll have you talk about in a minute. But just so people know, there's a couple of lines of your poetry in the first book.
Right.
Can you remember the first thing you ever did write? Not published, but just wrote.
It was just a short love poem. I don't remember verbatim or anything like that. I probably still have it around, gathering dust someplace with my old photos and things like that. I didn't throw most of them out. I somehow saved them somewhere.
Yeah, that's what happens. When you get our age, there's a lot of things gathering dust.
Including us.
Yeah, absolutely. What are some of your favorite authors that you like to read?
I like Alexander Dumas, Victor Hugo, Louis L'Amour. I guess I lean toward the French for some reason.
I see that, yes. I know. Yeah. Well, Louis L'Amour is a great Western writer, right? I mean, did a lot of famous star. I think he did Hondo, didn't he? The one that was
Oh
made
yeah,
into a
that
movie.
was his first, the first one that was made a movie, right?
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah. What are your favorite genres?
I like historical fiction. I'm a big history buff, as you are, I believe,
Right.
and I lean toward historical fiction.
So you would like somebody like James Michener that did Centennial and some of those South Pacific and some of that stuff.
He's a tough read, though. You know, I mean, that first chapter. If you can get by the first chapter, it's good. But the
He,
first chapter is really drawn out. You
yeah,
know,
he's very detailed in what he starts his
yeah,
books. Yes, I agree with you there.
descriptions.
Now, uh, the name of the genre of the first book you wrote, or I should say, in this case, co-wrote with me. How did that journey all begin? We're talking about Butterfly Wish.
Butterfly Wish, of course. Well, when we hooked up again after some years being out of contact, you had, many conversations. You mentioned that you were writing screenplays, and this was one of the screenplays you had written. And
And we weren't doing too good with that. I wasn't getting
any bites? Right?
many bites from Hollywood. Yeah, it's very difficult to break into that particular
Frank
field.
Capra.
Yep, yep.
But yeah, so after some time, I thought it was great. I really thought it was a great screenplay to me, and I said, why not convert it to a book and see maybe if the book sells, somebody will see it as a movie in the future. I don't know, but the book rewrite was a big job.
It was a big job. Thanks for a lot of your help with the research and everything. I know when we sat down to have a couple of beers, when we met in Las Vegas, that it took you a little while for you to convince me to do that because it was certainly foreign to me. I had never tried that, and it was foreign to you as well. So, but it was an interesting challenge. Like you said, it was a tough job, but it worked out. I think we did a good job on it. I think we told the story like we wanted to tell it, and it's done fairly well. I mean, we haven't broken any records with it, but it's done fairly well, and people expressed a lot of interest in it. I think we have 27 to 28 Amazon reviews on it, which for a first book isn't bad. So,
And they were largely, almost every one was a positive review.
yes, I think everyone was. I think the least we had was a 4-star, but everyone, was fairly good. So that makes us happy too. But I'm sure as it stays out there, we'll probably get hit a few times with negative, not negative reviews, but less than 4 or 5 stars. It happens. Well, even the best writers get that. So, but yeah, I'm pleased with where it's gone so far. Now, let's talk a little bit about the second book we worked on, what genre it is in, and the name of the book.
That's the Twice Upon a Time. It's a paranormal romance.
Is that your buddy there, meowing?
Yeah, he's gonna get rid of this guy. He's gonna jump up on my shoulders again.
That's okay. That's okay.
A little Siamese cat.
Right.
Yeah, that was. I think you said that was based on an idea that your wife had somewhere.
Well, actually, I threw it to my wife first before we ever even talked about it, and I kind of said I'm kind of afraid to do that because I've never done anything like that. I'm not good at paranormal stuff. At least I didn't think I was, and but she kept bugging me about it because I wanted to go to the next story we were both working on and shy away from that, but she kept bugging me about it. So finally, I just said, you know what, we'll give it a shot, and that's when we started working on that. And Twice Upon a Time isn't doing bad. It's been out for a while now, not quite as long as Butterfly Wish, but I think it's getting some good reception. We'll have to wait. It's still kind of early in the game for that one, but we'll see what happens with that. Now we're talking about working on a third book that we both were worked on, and it's not out yet, but maybe you want to talk about that a little. I'm talking about Tasting Raindrops.
Raindrops, right? Yeah, that's another fiction. I guess a romantic fiction. I guess you call it.
Right, exactly.
It's kind of taken from some of your background when you were in the Air Force in Ohio, I believe, right?
That's correct. Even though we say it's fiction, just like your story about the Bronx, a lot of it's based on things I remembered and what I experienced when I was stationed in Ohio when I was in the Air Force. So, yes, it's based on a lot of that. But, again, it's fiction that we've expanded on, so to speak, from my experiences in Ohio. Do you have any aspirations to see one of our books turned into a movie?
Well, definitely Butterfly Wish. I mean, and I'm not, it's not that it's me alone. I mean, other people have said that have reviewed the book, that they thought it would make a good movie. I would love to see it made a movie. I think it'd be terrific. I really do.
And it's easy for me to see that because, like we said before, I started out writing a screenplay about it. And
Right.
I had one of my grandsons who read it said that it reads like a movie. And I don't know what that means, but I guess it's a compliment. It reads like a movie. So I would like to see it made into a movie too. And who knows, maybe someday it'll happen. I guess my next question would be, what's been the most difficult part of marketing and selling the books to you?
Yeah, that's it's difficult on a limited budget. It's not easy. We have to compete with, known authors and the big publishing houses. So you have to go different route to get that advertising across and hope that people pick up. And I mean, Twitter and Facebook are something we've used, and there's other places. What was it? Book Baby is
Well,
our publishing house, so they've helped out.
Right, and there are the, like you say, you have Instagram, Goodreads. There are other places you can go, and there's also, places you can go that you could pay nominal fees to. Like I'm trying to think of some of them. Vinny's book, Jenny's book, Awesome Books. There's a lot of places like that for a minimal fee, you can advertise with them, market with them too. There's of course expensive places to go that cost quite a bit of few $100s, but I assume most of the people that are watching this have limited budgets like us, so they don't take that option too often. But yeah, it's tough. Like you say, you're competing with the big publishing houses, and it's tough to get the play that they get, so to speak. But you have to take it one step at a time.
Sure.
What advice do you think you'd offer people out there who have a desire to write a book but are afraid to try?
I would just say go ahead and start writing. You never know where it's going to lead. I mean, you have to do it. You never know what talent you may have in you that it hasn't come out yet unless you try. I mean, I was hesitant to try, writing the poetry years ago, and my, people I know liked a lot of that stuff, and I was hesitant to show anyone. But hey, you never know. You don't know what talent is within you until you make the effort.
I always remember an English teacher I have saying to me, because I used to tell him I'm terrified even trying to do something like writing. And he says, well, the thing is, you got to remember, if you don't experience failure, you'll never experience success. And I thought about that. I kind of weighed it in my mind, what he was saying, and it's kind of right. If you're afraid to fail, you're never going to succeed. You got to keep going at it and trying.
That's with anything in life.
Exactly.
That's true, yeah.
Exactly. Now, do you think self-publishing is the way to go for some young person struggling to get started? Or should he wait and hope that a publishing house or a literary agent will pick him up?
You might be waiting forever. I think it's the only way to go.
Yeah.
People, new writers and people like us, it's the only way to go, really.
I think I agree with you that. I mean, it's a tougher route. It's always better to get a literary agent representing you and going to a big publishing house. And it's like pie in the sky, though, today, because it's so competitive out there. So I kind of agree with you. I think start with the self-publishing and see where you go from there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rich, for allowing me to interview you. Hopefully, we have at least generated some interest for self-published authors. Self-publishing is a tough and lonely road to travel, but when you finally reach your destination, hopefully it will prove a worthwhile trip. At the end of each podcast, I'll show exciting covers of published and self-published books. One of these books could be the next great story you read. Here are some books that might be of interest. The The Crystal Lily by Ian MacDonald. Paradox of Fates by Rebecca Hefner. A Merman's Choice by Alice Renaud. Sharing by J.S. Jan and Penny B. Jan. The Manifesto Murders by Nick Ayres. Hot Mistakes by Kara Lockwood. And Wings of a Flying Tiger by Irish Yang. Until next time, I'm Dan Davidson, and remember, new discoveries never happen without searching for them first. Stay safe and God bless.
Dan Davidson and Rich Marcano's books, Butterfly Wish and Twice Upon a Time, are available on Amazon Kindle, BookBaby, Barnes & Nobles, Nook, Goodreads, and several other internet book sites. Their next release will be the historical romance, Tasting Raindrops. Please tune in to other great podcasts as well, such as The Truth About Beer and...